So hello and welcome to another episode of Becoming a Jolly Soul podcast. I'm Katie.
And I'm producer Stu.
And today we're going to be talking about one of our most recent posts actually on Jolly Soul, which is the main thing that stands between you and your happiness is yourself, which I guess we'll have to ping up somehow and show them.
We'll drop it up on the video.
Yeah, if you could do that, that's great. So the main thing that stands between you and your happiness is yourself. Yeah. And I do think, like I wrote sort of on the actual post on Instagram, if you want to check it out, you can do. It's a hard pill to sort of swallow, isn't it? That, you know, you are ultimately the sort of...
responsible.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Because I feel as though, like, most people would say, like, a comeback to that would be, oh, well, you know, like, my happiness depends on, say... Like, you know, I always refer to like my dad because it's so easy to sort of say that, but like, you know, when someone passes away, that makes people sad. And so I always have to try to remember those sort of extremes when it comes to things. And obviously, you know, there's a war happening at the moment, and obviously there's a lot of people there that it's not their fault, but it's deeper than that. It's something that's deeper than just sort of the surroundings and what's going on. Your happiness is about something that's deep within your soul, and that's the kind of happiness that I'm talking about. It's those choices. Yeah. So sort of on the original post, again, just referring back to that, on Instagram, I talked about Victor Frankl, I think is how you say it, or
Franklin.
It's not Franklin, actually. I think it's Frank. Oh yeah, anyway, he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and within that book he talks about kind of his experience within the Holocaust, and I remember reading it and being like absolutely like unbelievably shocked at kind of what a human being was firstly capable of. It's just horrendous, but on top of that, what a human being could actually go through and survive and just keep going. And I think one of his kind of known quotes is kind of like about how, you know, nothing can change what's going on inside. Like, no one can take away from you, you know, who you are and what you do with like what's going on in a situation, and even like your own sanity, your own happiness. It's all inside of you. And I always remember thinking like how incredible that was to understand that. And I think it's like a deeper level, and I think that's a real book that I would definitely recommend reading, Man's Search for Meaning, because it's quite the it feels very negative as a book. When you're reading it, you just like, I mean, you just want to cry sometimes, but I think what it does, what the outcome is by reading a book like that is like, I mean, I remember reading it and being so full of gratitude for my own life. It was just unbelievable. I just could not believe how lucky I was, and it helped me be more grateful.
Puts another perspective on your life.
Oh yeah,
because I think like what they, you know,
and I'm not taking away from either like people's problems and what they go through, because I think like you will go through things and you will feel, you know, like a certain way, and that's okay as well. Like I think everything is justified when it comes to yourself. It's, you know, it's fine to be upset about things. It's, you know, we're not saying don't be upset about things, but ultimately, you know, like, I mean, I know, like, take for instance myself, I can give you an explanation of my own journey with this, and then hopefully that will help you. So it's like, as an example, I had a tendency to like allow negative thinking and problematic thinking and worrying, ruminating over things. And, you know, I had to recognize that first and foremost to make a sort of change. But when I did recognize that that's what I was doing, I kind of had to take a bit of time out to assess it. And what I realized was that actually, you know, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live in a place where it's like I'd be doing the dishes, for example, and then something would sneak into my mind about an issue or a problem that I'm faced with. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going to think about this now. And that's really difficult. And I think, like, especially someone who ruminates or catastrophizes situations the way that we think, it's easy to allow things to like consume you and absorb your soul, you know, like really get into you. And when we do that, when you're constantly ruminating and negative and going on and on about things, it doesn't do any good. Like, it never helps. It just pains you. You know, it's not making the situation any better, is it, by you thinking about it?
No. Well, it only takes you away from where you want to be. It doesn't make you present anymore.
No.
All of a sudden you forget about you actually washing dishes or doing the task that you were...
I remember someone once said to me something about, you know, stop thinking about this particular situation or this person. Say somebody had hurt you, you know, they're not paying for the space in your brain. And I was like, oh, that's quite an interesting one, that. And I think it is, you know, it's like, it's so easy to go on and on and on about things and just like focus on the problems and the issues. And it's like, ultimately, it's a choice. I mean, a lot of it is subconscious and it does just happen. But once you realise that you can actually get in control of the way that you're thinking about things, and, you know, it honestly, it helps so much. I know it's helped me. I know that. And it's still a journey. It's a journey of growth that I have to go on each day. Like, I know that this morning I woke up and I've got a lot of things that I need to do. I've got a really heavy schedule. And immediately, the moment I opened my eyes, I was thinking about this one particular problem. And it took me about, I'd say a minute to really realise I'd kind of gone off with this thought. And that I was like, ooh, and this and that. And then I was like, hang on a minute, wow. Like, I'm not doing it. I will not accept that I'm going to go down that road because it just makes me unhappy.
Yeah, it's like... we're all in this mind jail of thought, of, you know, even stupid thoughts that are not really harmful to you, or even it gives you any like purpose in your life. It's just silly things that come into your mind that shouldn't really affect you. But when you're inundated by tasks like that, if there's certain problems,
you are more sort of vulnerable.
You are. The menial tasks become very big, and you know, trying to climb over a mountain to get these things done. Yeah. Hence the expression, you know, make a
mountain out of a molehill.
yeah. That's, you know, but that's what happens, and you can't see it. You just can't. You can't not see these little tasks as little tasks anymore, and. You know, the more that we can be free in our mind and be happy within ourselves, like that book you read, you know, it's going back to that.
Well, that gave me perspective on things.
To make you understand that really
makes you think, like, actually, my problems are maybe not as big as some, and how lucky I am to, We do have problems, and there are big problems as well in other people's lives, and there's small ones as well, but it's being in control of those things to help you manage those better. But most often, it's like Eckhart Tolle sort of talks about, you know, most often they are not right in the moment. Most often we are okay when you come right back to the moment, like it's called, it's like the power of now. Yeah. When you come to the moment, really, and most of the time, nothing's actually hurting you in that moment. Nothing's really like, I mean, obviously that's different on all different levels. And I know probably when he wrote that, he didn't write about the Ukraine and what's happening there. But most of the time, nothing's really affecting you in the moment. And that's why it's really powerful to be able to kind of come back to the present. You know, that's why, you know, I would highly recommend things like yoga and meditation, and, you know, even like cold therapy. All these things bring you to now, where really, you know, you're not in this mind, you're beyond the mind, you're present. And actually, like, I think for me, when you can get to that state, you can hear the mind rather than being like lost in it. You know, it's like you can step out of it. You know, I just think, well, that for me has been massive and helped me a lot.
And what would you say, like, things, you know, for me, I have my own things you could do to help you manage these tasks. Well, what sort of things do you think you could do to help you control these thoughts that
I think it's like I said, it's making a decision. You know, there's, like I said already, meditation and yoga and things like that. Journaling really helps. You know, have a book where you can write out the things that are going through your mind, or even like setting a task list. It's like anything that comes up, write it down. Whatever it is, just get it out of your mind, and don't, you know, everyone's got phones, everyone's got notes. You can just take a minute to just put it away. And even things like, like I know that a friend of ours, you were saying that, she'd been, finding it difficult to tackle the thoughts about, say, how she looked recently. And even that, write the things down and then start making plans to make change. So if your weight is something that's a struggle and you find it really difficult to deal with, or any situation, it's about making a decision about, well, am I going to accept this? If it's your weight, am I going to accept how I look and I'm okay with that? Or am I going to make plan to change? And then you can start to do something about these issues.
Yeah.
Once you become really overwhelmed and it becomes really difficult to deal with things, it's like meltdown sort of time. It's kind of a very sort of dangerous ground when it comes to like how you're thinking and your mental health and things like that. So I think one thing I'd say is just make sure, like, if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed, just check in on your thoughts and how much you're kind of like going over and over and things, and look at your task list. How many things have you got planned, and what do you need to kind of pull back in on, and obviously make time for self-care too.
Maybe speak to a friend or someone about these things as well, just to kind of offer different advice as well, which is also quite good.
So I hope today's really helped you and made you think about kind of your happiness and how that, these little things, these little changes and these little exercises can really have a massive impact on your life. And we hope that we inspire your soul to be just that little bit happier. Okay, check out our next episode.